You're listening to the Local Earshot Podcast with your host, Johnathan Grissom. Let's talk about music.
Hello, everybody. This is Johnathan Grissom, More Bands Media, and the Local Earshot Podcast. I am here with Sadona Crystal Bitch. And, how you guys been doing?
Pretty good. How are you, man?
Good.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, I've been wanting to have you all on, and then it just so happens that you're in a show that I'm actually in too, as an artist, for like painting and stuff. So, and I know some of the things have changed during that show, but it's March 2nd at Four Core Brewing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lou Reed's birthday party.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, and I guess Chuck's just going to be playing solo at that one, and then I guess acoustic. I guess that's what happened with that. And then the other bands are still playing. What is it? It's like you, and then it's what is the other bands?
I know there's a couple others, but they're bands that I haven't seen yet. So
yeah, I was trying to.
I'm looking forward to checking them out for the first time. I guess we should have grabbed the flyer and brought it over here.
I just put it up. I'll put it up on the in the comments, and then I'll put it up on the pages and stuff, because I've been promoting the stuff on the group and everything. I think that flyer's in the room. It's like right over there on the wall somewhere.
Yeah, I was staring at it earlier. Should have memorized the bands.
Yeah, but that's the old flyer. That's not the updated one. So
okay.
yeah, the digital ones are all updated. So, but yeah, I haven't had Sedona on. I've had Broadcast Radio on back whenever you both were in that band, right? And then so kind of like, I guess, explain how Sedona came about, and then like the actual story behind the band, and then kind of the members and all that kind of stuff.
Right on. Yeah, Sedona started, I was kind of writing my own side project, like different songs that didn't really fit for Broadcast Radio at the time, so I was kind of holding those to the side and waiting for a time to put them into play. But it started out kind of as a two-piece, with just me and the drummer. And after a while, Broadcast Radio hadn't been playing much, so I asked Jordan if he wanted to bring his bass over to what we were doing instead.
Hell yeah. It was a big change, but it was cool though.
Yeah.
I was grateful for him being willing to show up, because a band without a bassist, just there's no way to make it sound right.
We were making jokes at the last show that, like, whatever they because basses are pretty important, but everybody always bashes them all the time. And so, like, the last episode, it was like, he was like, I was like, what do you play? And he said, oh, I play bass. And then I looked at his guitarist and singer, and I looked up, and I was like, man, he ain't nobody in the band. Like, all guy. This guy acting like he's important, And then I was like, and I was like, hell, he's like, well, we need somebody to carry the gear. Oh, no. And I was like,
the roadie also.
Just a roadie and everything, because it's the singer that just shows up. That's the idea that people think is wrong with that. But
That's funny.
So about how long has the band been together at this point?
Let's see. I think it was like fall of 2022 that you joined Kenny and I.
Yeah.
And our first show was January of 2023, I think.
Okay.
At Sedona. So
Awesome.
we've been at it for a little while. We recorded last summer our first album.
Okay.
Sympathy for the She-Devil.
Did you guys go through like a local recording studio?
Yeah, we went with Trent Bell.
Okay, Trent.
Here in Norman,
Yeah, I hear a lot about Trent.
That guy's the
He's
shit.
awesome, yeah. Figure something's worth doing, it's worth doing right, so.
Yeah.
We had a great time over there, too.
Yeah.
Like, super happy with how it turned out. Even
That's
better
good.
than I imagined, so.
Yeah,
I'd recommend him.
What live shows have you guys been playing?
We actually took a little bit of a break through like November, December. I was in the process of moving back to Norman, and with the holidays and stuff, we figured we'd let everybody take a little time off. But we're actually playing tonight, which this episode won't be out then.
Yeah,
but
it's just the nature of the beast right now.
Tonight's
I think
our first
if
show
I had
back.
it recording live or something, it would probably be out right now at this moment.
It doesn't.
So,
But nobody's watching it on a Friday night
yeah,
anyway.
well, that's the whole thing. It's like I record on Thursdays and Fridays, and if nobody's really watching this stuff on Thursdays and Fridays during the day.
Yeah.
So
Might as well sit on it.
yeah.
But yeah, we're excited to get back on stage. It feels like it's been longer than 3 months, but
Yeah, for sure. I'm nervous all over again.
I know now I'm getting nervous that we're talking about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's where are you guys playing for this show tonight?
Point A.
Point A Gallery.
Yeah, and I
you know
haven't
what?
played there yet.
Okay.
So I'm excited to.
Yeah,
Check it
I need
out.
to go to more shows over there. I was actually there yesterday.
Really?
Yeah, I did a photo shoot with JD Scott and the bassist of Lords of Acid.
Right on.
So it was pretty cool, like hanging out with an international rock star. That was pretty awesome.
Big celebrity.
Like, yeah. So but yeah, I guess the guy. It's weird because he actually went to Rose State like for like sound recording or something.
Okay.
And then I don't know how he ended up in the band. I'll probably find that out later on. But yeah, he's from here. His girlfriend lives here in Oklahoma City, and he just hangs out in the scene. And when he first like popped up on the scene, all these people were like, "Oh my God, it's blah 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 from Lords of Acid," and everybody's like, "What?" And he's just
Right.
hanging out in the high low, just chilling, just hanging out among everybody. And I was like, okay, cool, it's a rock star. I'm like, and they're like, you're not excited? I was like, I used to work at Live Nation. I'm like, he probably just wants to come and have a drink and not be bothered
Right.
by everybody. So,
People are just
know.
people still.
yeah, it's just one of those things. It's like sometimes you just want to
Blend in.
I looked over and all I see is this little paper, and it says hashtag fuck Yoon. I'm guessing. I don't know why, but I have a feeling that Christoph is trying to sabotage my episode with little notes about how much he hates his bassist.
Poor Andrew.
Poor Andrew. Poor Andrew.
Speaking of bassists being abused.
yeah, do you get abused a lot?
Not so much.
Oh yeah,
Not anymore.
Just yell at you, hit
Get more
you.
of the silent treatment.
Oh yeah, that's really weird in a art like in a room, especially when you're making music.
Yeah.
You get the silent treatment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll just discuss band plans without me. in
Oh
front
yeah,
of
that's
them.
common. Yeah, that's usually the case. I mean, I don't know what part of the band you do, like whenever it comes to the side stuff, but a lot of times it's like the bassist or the drummer does almost everything, like for promoting and everything. A lot of times in bands, and then like another member does something else, and the other member handles all the other stuff. Like it's just a huge thing because all these bands are like trying to manage themselves, and at some point they can't, and then they have to have people come in to do it for them because they can't handle all that stuff going on unless you're just a party band. Then it's all right, but
It is hard to, be the promoting and making the flyers and booking the shows and.
social media
It's
is
a
like
pain.
it's like a
Part-time
all
job.
day thing, and there's no. It's like you're doing work for no pay. I hit a milestone on Facebook, and you know what they gave me? 12 cents. And that was amazing. I was like, "Whoa, shit! 12 cents. Whoop-de fucking do." And then
At least you're getting
Spotify,
paid, yeah.
and Spotify, I always laugh about what people say about Spotify because they're like, "Yeah, we just like put up our check. We didn't even cash it because it's only $40." I'm like, "Do you understand that if every artist is doing that to that company, that's why they're multi-billionaires.
keeping that for
They're
you,
keeping
yeah.
all that money because
Gotta
people
take
aren't
what you can
taking.
from 'em.
Yeah, you got to take what you can from them because they're not gonna provide you with anything. Like they don't care about that. They care about money as an investment. They don't care they care about music like it's an investment. They don't care about the artist or the actual artistry behind it no more.
Yeah.
And a lot of the big labels are the same way. They look at it as investments. They're buying catalogs and they're holding them and
Yeah, and
of
they're
old
owning
artists.
your music.
Yeah, and they're just now started like what is it? One of the companies, I think Universal or like it was either Universal or Sony. They started a new thing called with covers. And basically all it is modern bands doing cover songs of old bands.
I hate
And
that.
they're launching an entire record label that just does that. So then they can basically
What's the
dominate
market for that anyway?
because they can
Who's buying
dominate
that
because
shit?
they can dominate the cover market for local artists that are coming up. Because I mean, if all the big artists are making covers, then how are you gonna grow as a band if you make a cover and get famous for making a cover?
Yeah.
Like you make a version of a metal song that used to be a pop song.
Yeah,
and you
dude,
get
the pop
famous
goes
because
punk
of it.
shit, yeah.
But if some label's metal band does the same thing, then everybody's just going to be like, oh, you're just copying that
Yeah.
large artist, so it just keeps them on top, and that's kind of the goal.
That's
probably.
such a weird business
that.
model. Yeah.
But yeah, they're doing a lot of that kind of stuff, and it's a way of like selling out the music industry in a lot of ways. But I mean, I kind of hear this modern, like all the updated news of it all because I'm going to ACM, so like they don't. Like we'll talk about that stuff all the time, but they don't really pay attention to bands when they're, which is funny because like the idea behind it is contemporary, and yet they don't even pay attention really to new artists. They pay attention to new artists that are already polished,
Yeah.
ready to go into record labels that are already polished.
Yeah.
And so
Bands
it's
that
like,
have been
yeah.
around for 10 or 15 years.
Yeah, they want
already
you to be
that-
around for, and
it's
so
not
I was always
new.
wondering why it took 10 years for a rock band to actually get famous, 10 to 15 years. And then I realized that it was because the record labels and stuff like that aren't even looking at them until they know that they're going to make a shit ton of money on them.
Yeah.
And then
You
they'll
have to build your
finally-
own following first.
That
Yeah.
or when they're sure they're not going to fall apart or something.
Yeah, they just want they don't. That's a big part of it too, though. I do understand that concept that local bands, they get together, they break up. I was told that I'm taking a big gamble in the business model that I'm trying to do because I'm focusing on local music. But they were like, yeah, but like then your website's just gonna that you finally build, it's just gonna be filled with a bunch of like just dead accounts of artists that are no longer around. And I'm like, yeah, but I mean,
Somebody's
there's
got to
You still
keep
did it.
track
there's
of
still
it.
good
Yeah.
music. They
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
did it. Like, it's like shows that they did do something at one point in their career, and so I think that that's important. And some of these artists, they don't like I mean, early on in the 60s and 70s, some of those artists, they started out in one band that was local, and then they did like 10 bands like over
Yeah.
time, and then they suddenly ended up in a major band, and then you end up with like Led Zeppelin or
Right.
the Rolling Stones or like all these other bands. Because if you look at their actual history of these artists, they played in many different bands before they actually got into that band among those people that they play with.
It's like the
And
Yardbirds with Jimmy Page and Eric
Yeah.
Clapton and shit. They were
Yeah.
hanging out when they were teenagers before they were famous.
and then a lot of it too, which has been keep coming up on episodes, is the idea that that a lot of it's just sounds the same, and it's like, well, I mean, there's a whole time frame where music was created like by just these little like the Braille House and those type of places. So like it was created by these house bands that would come in and just record, and then they would say, oh, they would play them like a voice singing a song with no guitars or or not lyrics, but everything in the background, and they would go, oh, well, this riff works for that, oh, this works for that, and they would just put it together. And if you have the same 5 dudes or 10 dudes like doing that in a studio every time, they're probably all going to be the same chords, the same sound, same style, because they know what works. And that's what a lot of record companies are doing now too, is that they're focusing on what's commercial in commercial music, and what because that's the idea. The artist wants to make money, and so they focus on just like who can we bring in and then polish them and make them perfect, and then bring that over to there. And if we have to
And
change
then put their
them,
music in a TV show or something.
yeah, well, and
Like
that's all part of it too
commercial,
now.
yeah.
Like video games, TV, anywhere like that. That anywhere that you can get a sync spot. Like, and honestly, sync spots are good. But one of our teachers, he has a song that's actually in SpongeBob,
Really?
and in the musical, right?
That's cool.
And we asked him, like, well, do you see a lot of money from that? And he goes, not really, because a lot of it's just volunteers for school kids, and so they don't really make that money. And then like I guess there's the other reasons why they don't make money off the musical, and so like because there's so many people involved that the money just gets split,
That's
so
paid
to the point where they don't
everybody.
where they don't barely get paid, and and so that's one issue that they run into. But then I brought up the fact, I said, yeah, but your musicals available on Spotify, are you getting any money on that? And he's like, not really, because it's
Well,
getting
you're
split among
splitting
people.
that
He's like I get the
.0012
I get the
cents
publishing
between, like,
off of
50
it.
people.
but I don't get the recording or the the actual stuff from the master recordings, and so that's kind of important. One of those things that I like to talk about to bring out is so do you guys own your master recordings, or does Trent actually hold the masters for you guys for the record label?
I believe that we own them.
You own them, so it's just an independent project, and you get to own it. So you own your publishing, you own your see, and that's good, and that's the way that most artists now should be, because and I know that there's people that hate me for saying this because I'm going to school with a lot of people that are in the industry and they're doing their own things and they're doing it the old way. And I'm like, well,
the way things used to work.
Yeah, and I understand the concept of record labels. If you don't have a lot of money and you grew up poor and stuff, and somebody comes to you and says, "Hey, man, you wrote a fucking hit. Come work with us.
We'll
gonna
pay for the album.
We're gonna pay for the album." Yeah, but then you get caught up in the recoupable idea, because if you're not thinking about it and you're saying, "Okay, how much should I provide, or how much should I do, and how much money should I put away?" and stuff. You're not doing those things, and you don't have. And they don't even assign them like a financier or somebody that just looks over their finances. It's like a person in the band's doing it. And so it's like if they want to throw a party, they're just going to throw a party as a band. Yeah. And the problem is that if the party costs you $100,000 to throw because you blew all your money that you're being paid by the record label, you got to pay that back. And if your record does not perform, then you're stuck. And then they're going to stick you again and again and again, and they're going to keep on grabbing you and saying, "Oh, hey, produce another album for us." And then they're just going to keep on doing that shit. Yeah. And so that's a big deal.
There's no free handouts.
Yeah, so I mean,
trying to profit off of something.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know what you guys have seen in the scene here in Oklahoma with that, but it's just something that I think about a lot now, because I'm like, I could just go work for a major record label and do that, just take advantage of people like that, but it's like, I don't want to do that.
No,
I don't want to take advantage of people that don't
shit.
Deserve to be taken advantage of. So
yeah, it's cool. The scene needs more people like you in it to help advise musicians and artists, because none of us really know what we're doing until we start doing it. You just kind of learn as you go. And
right,
you definitely did. Like when I started out, I just assumed the goal is to get an album on a label, but it's like, well, we got the album, but what's the point of the label really, unless they want to send us to Europe or something.
But even then, I heard somebody recently, they went to, so there's a form of loan that similar to the recoupable idea, but it's like when you go to a bank. This one guy said he went to a bank and he asked for a $60,000 loan, and the bank was like, "Well, what do you have for collateral to put up?" And he was a painter, and so he said, "Well," he goes, "My art." And they were like, "Okay, what's your art worth?" And what he did was that for insurance purposes, he had an insurer go and appraise his work, right? And so they appraised all of his artwork. And they came back and they said, "Okay, here's the number of what your art is worth if you were just to get rid of it all." And so he went to them and said, "Well, my art is collectively $60,000 worth of art, so I want to take a $60,000 loan." And ironically, he said, "But if you don't pay the loan back, then they take all the art for collateral." So it's almost like selling your art without actually selling your art. So I mean, I would think that a music artist could do the same thing with records, going to a bank or something like that, just to manipulate the system, because that's all record labels are now. They're banks.
Yeah.
I mean, that's and that's really
they're fronting you the money.
And I mean, if they drop an artist, or if a artist leaves a label or whatever, and usually it ends up in court if they leave. But if a label drops an artist, then basically it's just money lost, and then they got to file a loss on taxes and all this other stuff. So there's a lot of loss in the industry that happens over time, because they just take a risk on artists, and they just throw artists against a wall and hope that they stick. So I mean, that's a big part of it too. So I mean, I don't know.
But it is so subjective.
Yeah.
What is the value of a piece of art? It's different depending who's looking at it.
Yeah.
Or listening to it.
About the scene here in Oklahoma City, are there any shows that stand out that you really, or even bands that stand out here that you're really following right now and you working with and doing shows with and stuff?
The last show I saw that I was super enamored was watching Bugnog a few weeks ago at the Opolis.
Okay.
They're so fun. It's so fun to watch Brent play drums.
Yeah, I think I saw them at Blue Note a few months back or a few weeks back or something like that.
They're always so tight.
They sound huge for a 2-piece.
Yeah. Yeah, there's
Yeah, they go hard.
there's a couple 2 pieces that what was it like Cotton White in Straight White Buffalo 2 piece.
They're fun to watch too.
Yeah, and then Chuck's band they were 2 piece, and then what was the other one?
Oh yeah, they did their
Low
little
Down Wessel.
battle of the 2-piece bands.
Yeah, so the funny thing about that event was okay, so Blue Note they did a thing, and they called it the Battle of the Century, and it was right after that. There was like a month and a half planning of this other show that was supposed to be a Battle of the 2-piece, and they copycatted it, and then those bands were 2-piece too. And it was just a total, like, it seemed like a total rip-off of the other one. I don't know if that was
That's such a weird thing to do twice. And
I don't think that Blue Note, I don't know if Blue Note was involved in that. I think it was the bands that ripped it off, not the there. But there's a huge thing where there's like this joking call out with that online that
I
that
saw the
Cotton
memes.
was like Cotton was like oh, I caught you guys. Now there's like now there's one where like where Cotton got in trouble, with the law, because it's Cotton, and so anyway, he's going through court and stuff, and he was told that he wasn't allowed to play shows for a while, like in venues, right? Yeah. And so he played that show.
How do you enforce that?
Yeah, so he played that show, and they kind of well, that's the thing, it's a hard thing to enforce anyway.
Yeah.
But he played the show. And then they saw a video of it somehow. They somehow got back to them, and they changed his like whenever they arrested him, like they had his picture, and they changed it to an older photo, like the original photo that he originally had from it, and it just looks really, really bad. And so like they changed that to make him look worse to the courts, and so to like penalize him. And then they told him they told him, well, we're going to get you now for doing that, for breaking the rules and all this kind of stuff that we set rules in front of you. And he's
gonna have a no videos.
And he's like, dude, like I was
just
I was paid to play a show, and he goes, it was at a gallery. It wasn't even at a venue or a bar or anywhere like that, you know. And so whenever that happened, we. Somebody took I was originally supposed to do it for him, I didn't have time. Took the picture and they put free Cotton White on his shirt, and it shows him on this shirt, and it just shows like that mugshot photo of like free Cotton White. So so everybody's like literally going around just basically sponsoring that idea of like freeing him from the legal system because it's total bullshit. Before. Because I've never heard of a singer or person and like getting in trouble and then being banned from being able to do their art form,
like being grounded or something.
And it had to do with like just typical like drinking stuff. Yeah. But he wasn't even driving. But he has a record in the past, and so he wasn't even driving his vehicle. He actually just had the keys turned on, and he was in the vehicle for heat. And he only had I think 1 or 2 drinks that night. So and he wasn't driving, like he didn't drive intentionally, but he had a blowout, and so whenever he pulled into the place or whatever, so he just got in the car, turned on the heat. He didn't want to work on the vehicle. It's cold in the winter, so he just turned on his heat in his vehicle, and then they pulled him over.
That's like half of DUIs, people I know who have them. It's
just
like
the keys
they were
and the
just
ignition will get you.
And I don't know the whole story, but
car,
but that's basically what it is. It's like
crazy.
he didn't really do nothing. Like he wasn't doing anything, but because he had a record, they pulled it, and they were just like,
so he's not allowed to play shows anymore. That's
because
wild.
of where they're at.
Stupid though.
Because of where they're at. The very last show that he played before that was at Grand Royale, and then after that, he was told that he can't play no more shows. And
that might have been when we played with him. We did open, I think we opened for him. Yeah,
at the Grand Royale like a long ass time.
Yeah, I know. I went to one of those shows that I think that
might have been.
Yeah, that might have been that one because I was there filming and stuff. But that was the thing is that but there's a lot of that God, like to me, it's like, well, then, like, at what level do you get to where you just basically get away with everything? Because I see, because I see major artists getting away with everything, all the time.
I think you just have to have a living off of it. Like if it's paying your bills, you can kind of just tell people to fuck off.
Yeah, and just pay them for it. Just pay the bill,
or
like
if you're
pay
a household name and everybody.
Or you can afford the lawyer
wants you to succeed.
get you out of it. Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I kind of feel like that's just kind of shitty in a way.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Because I'm like, to me, it's like if you're just there to play music, then you're not there to drink. You're not there to do anything wrong, right? Like you're just there to have a good time. And I know I've been told, and I mean, I hate to say it about Oklahoma, but I've been told by police officers in Choctaw that because my sister works at a convenience store out there, and so she has a lot of police officers come in her establishment, and they said, you know, at 2 to 3 o'clock in the morning, we know that everybody on the road in Oklahoma is drunk. We know that. The question is, can you drive a car?
Yeah,
and not speed and not do those things that are there. They're like, that's really what we're looking for, is the ability to be able to like not to at least know your limit and just like be able to drive home.
Be using your blinkers.
And because that's a safety thing,
stuff.
you know. Yeah. And I don't advocate for drinking and driving, but like that's just the norm here in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And
just don't get caught.
Yeah, just don't get caught. that's what they always say, and that's what those guys say too. They just say, just don't get caught. Like some of those officers said, we even drink and drive, but just don't get caught.
Yeah, I feel like cops are always doing crazy shit.
Yeah, they're all breaking the rules like that. So.
They're on drugs and on their laptop and pulling people over at the same time.
Sounds right.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know. Do we want to play any type of music for your band?
Yeah, if you want to pull up one of the songs off the album.
All right, let me see. And this is gonna be a Spotify, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, all that shit. We got added to the Weedian Trip to Oklahoma compilation that came out yesterday, so that was pretty exciting.
Yeah, we're gonna
a lot of good bands
on
that.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that. Because
my new favorite playlist.
That's actually pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
There's another one called a punk one that was like called like Straight Out Oklahoma or something.
Oh, that's
like
cool.
That, where they had like a lot of recordings and of like different artists and stuff on the album, and it was just designed. I do not know what's going on. I might have to just cancel this Riverside recording. We're gonna base it on these because like. Riverside sucks. I want to be honest. Like if I had to have like a $5,000 computer to run your software sucks because it's crashed on me every single time, and I spent $100 to have that software for a year. I can't even run Spotify and Riverside at the same time on my computer right now. So
that's wild.
So if you're not doing remotes, remotes are fine with Riverside, and you have like one mic and a computer talking over the internet. But if you need to do like what we're doing right now, don't ever invest in that software.
Don't do it.
Like, probably get sued for that.
I mean, what are they gonna do? They already got your $100.
Did I spell that right?
Yep.
There it is. Yeah, I thought so because I had you guys on there. All right. Which one do you want to play?
I don't know. Which one do you think?
Do Worse Than Worthless. That's my
Worse Than Worthless is a good one.
Which one?
I like them all. Worse Than Worthless. It might not be in the top.
It's on that one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't show on the major list or the initial list. Let me see. see.
Start getting paid first.
All right. Let me see. Worse Than Worthless by Sadona Crystal Bitch. So kind of go over the process of like when you guys were recording your guys' album, and kind of I guess how that all went when you guys were doing that.
Yeah, we were a little nervous about it. Obviously, I don't think any of us had been to a studio in quite some time, so we practiced really hard leading up to the studio time to make sure that we wouldn't be fucking around or having to redo anything more than necessary. Mm-hmm. There was one song that we were kind of in the process of writing still that we ended up leaving off of the album and being like, we'll come back and do it as a single or something because it was like half baked and we didn't want to. You
didn't want to put it out in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That are spending extra time just
paying
or
to being
write
there a whole day
when,
trying to finish it.
You just do it at home for free.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you can speak to this, but I mean, like, how much per hour were you guys like paying to do that for the studio?
I'm not really sure exactly what it was per hour.
Okay. You just kind of set a deal and then did it.
Yeah, or we kind of like pay as you go, like at the end of one day.
Okay. Yeah, I know some studios do it by the hour. Did you guys use your own? You guys just use Trent, so like, right? Because it's an engineer.
Yeah.
So that's just a house engineer.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, because like some people they bring their own, and then others they choose to like record with the actual engineer of the house. So
that's interesting.
Yeah,
like bringing your own sound guy to the show or something.
You're just using their equipment basically. That's really what it is. I know you can technically, if you know a recording student at ACM, you can actually go there and record at their studios.
That's cool.
In after hours, like you just book a time with somebody that goes to school there, and you can do it.
Oh yeah,
that's cool.
With the engineers
Get them some
there.
practice.
Yeah, so it gives them practice, and then it also technically can, if depending on the album and the song, you could actually get it added to their new label that they're about to produce.
Yeah, that's cool.
So then it's like on a compilation album because it was made in their. Because if a recording student did it, then it's considered an actual like song that can be on their stuff or whatever.
That's
badass.
Cool.
So
free promotion.
All right.
Yeah.
So let's talk about upcoming shows and stuff. Like, what are your guys' like future bookings look like?
We're gonna have kind of a busy spring. Like we're playing today, March 2nd, with the Lou Reed show. We're playing April 12th at the Grand Royale with Dust Lord from Tulsa, which I haven't seen them yet, so I'm really excited to watch them play.
Yeah, I need to get up to Tulsa. It's 100 miles.
Yeah, I know it's not that far.
So it's like it's not that far, but like it's more of like, what is that, like $20-$30 in gas every time that you go there
it's just enough to be a chore.
Yeah, well, and the last time I went there was before they broke up, was Hollis, and I took the singer Hollis up there, and they didn't really promote very well, or they did and nobody showed. So like there was like hardly anybody in the audience, and they pack houses here in Oklahoma City. They were playing Legends. I mean, like they're packing Legends, you know.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you can pack Legends at that place, like bigger shows, then that means you were at a particular level that, you know, you could do it.
Was it like a weeknight or something?
No, it was a Friday or Saturday, but it was like maybe like 5 or 10 people, but their cut was like 20. I think each person got like $20 off the cut of that show.
Yeah,
and I mean, like,
barely pays for your beer at the venue.
Yeah, and then whenever we were leaving, like Hollis was like, "Man, this is some bullshit," and then, you know, he was mad about it. And then we were in the car, and he goes, "Hey, you know, like when we were leaving, or whenever we got back to the Oklahoma City, he goes, "Hey, man," he's like, "Hey, I guess I'll just give you this money for gas," and I said, "Dude, keep it."
Yeah.
I was like, I got a free show out of the deal.
Yeah, you worked for it.
I was like, I got a free show out of the deal. I got to see some bands. Like, I'm okay. Like, I'm good. I don't need to take money from you because you actually worked tonight.
Have him come home empty-handed.
Yeah, I was like, I literally didn't work at all tonight. I went in there and I set up a camera, and then and it wasn't even my camera. It was like I was manning a camera for one of the band members, and I was like, I just set up a camera and then just kind of chilled out and watched the show. So I was like, it's not worth it, you know, to do that to bands.
It is hard to, like, even a show where there are people there, by the time they split it between like 3 different bands, and then each band splits it between 3 or 4
yeah,
members.
when you start doing all those cuts,
you just
and
get
everything.
nothing.
Yeah. I mean, it's I guess that's similar to like I don't know, like this compilation album that you're on. What is it? What is that called?
Weedian.
Yeah, the trip to Oklahoma from Weedian.
Weedian. What is that? Is this like a compilation group that just produces albums, or?
Yeah, I think they.
I don't know if it's
like
once
almost
a
more of
month
a
or
promotion thing.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
they really kind of just gather
It's like state
all
by
the
state.
stoner doom sludge stuff and
That's
kind of
cool.
give people highlights and promos.
Okay.
So it's cool to.
So I mean, and you technically get recording and publishing off of that, off your recordings whenever they do it off Spotify and all those things. But
Yeah.
how does that exactly work? Like for an album, that compilation album
I
like
have
that?
no idea, honestly. I wasn't expecting to get paid for it or anything, but it is cool that like the following that Weedian has. A bunch of people are going to listen to the music that otherwise would have never heard of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm not really sure
Okay.
how all the logistics of that works.
Yeah. Well, I know it's something like if you as long as you have everything registered with ACAP and all that stuff, and with BMI ACAP. There's a new one out there, I think, just started up. But yeah, as long as you have registered, I guess that's how it works. I know Christoph knows more about that over there. He knows more about that than
He's the
us,
expert.
probably, because he's been in the industry way too long.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah,
retired.
he actually
though.
knows what he's doing.
Yeah, that guy over the couch, he's retired. How I know he's retired? No, I know he's retired because he's laying on a couch, not doing nothing right now,
He's
Reading
living the
comic
dream.
books.
living the dream.
I'm reading about a dice game.
Dice Masters.
Oh, yeah.
Dice Masters.
Living his best life.
That'd be a
Alright.
cool song name, Dice Master.
Well, is there anything else that we want to talk about with the audience and everything?
Just to check out the album if you haven't already. We're super proud of it.
I'm still waiting for my copy.
Yeah, everybody is. I didn't make the CDs yet.
Guys, Symphony for the She Devil is the name of this one. Yeah. And then your previous album, that one's just is that self-titled?
Those
That
are
one's
just a
self-titled,
couple
right?
little demos. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think because we did have you. Actually, we did have Sedona on before.
I think, yeah.
Yeah, it was our
just
100th
me.
episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What episode are you on now?
135 or something like that. It's been a bad year.
Damn.
Honestly, I'll be real about it. Like
So
like
that's a lot.
yeah, it's kind of hard because it's like one of the things that Brad did that I don't do, but I kind of had to figure out a way around it. Is that he would book the artist and I would do all the production.
Yeah.
And so like I was always on the side there, if you guys remember. Like I was always like the
Yeah.
equipment was in front of me. I was manning
You're the
equipment.
engineer guy.
Yeah, and I was doing all that, and then I was doing all the back work, all the running all the groups and doing all that stuff. What he would do is that he would actually do the interviewing and then book the artist.
Yeah.
And so whenever he decided to whenever we had like basically just like a really like talk about things because like it just kind of fell the way it did, and just like bands break up, it's just like
Yeah.
well it's like if you don't want to keep on doing doing this a certain way, then and the way I want to go with this, then it's like what are we gonna do?
Yeah.
And
Some things you can't compromise on.
yeah,
And
I feel bad about it. Like I tried to try to work it out and everything, and I even offered him the show, and he told me no, and I was like okay, and I said well I'm gonna because he wanted me to like end it, and I said well. I was like,
after all the work you put into it, you can't just let it die.
That's my thing is that
And there's nothing else like this for the scene here in Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
and
We need it.
Well, and I don't know how to explain it. I put a lot of work into it, and whenever we first started it, it is a subsidiary of More Bands Media, which is my company, and so like I pay taxes on this stuff. I on this equipment and stuff. I have to write all this stuff off. I got to do all this work for it,
Yeah.
and so like. For me, it was like, well, I tried to make it a joint venture. I tried to make it an actual like business by itself, like all that. And I was told to put it under my company. And so when I did that, it basically became mine.
Yeah.
And so whenever he wanted to leave, I said, well, I don't know what I'm going to do. I guess I'll have to find another host, or I'll just have to man up and start doing it. And it
doing
is
job.
hard. It is hard. It's not
Twice as
easy
much
for me
work.
to look at all these screens and do all this stuff all at once and stuff, because most people have an engineer doing all of those things. And I'm sure one day I'll be back to that, where I actually have like a team and all that. But the idea behind the growth behind the show is that, like, in the last year, I've only done 34 episodes, and yet we've grown the groups and the actual pages by almost 400 people.
That's good.
And that's in a year of only doing 34 episodes, and that was like with a 3-month break.
And that's hard to do on Facebook, especially.
Yeah, and even Facebook, like, there's a constant influx into the group side. I don't know what happened. I'm pretty sure it's probably because, like, a lot of times in your pages and in your groups, you get a lot of bots that will like your group, and they try to infiltrate your group. So they'll like your
Posting
page,
stupid
and they'll try to
shit,
infiltrate. So I thought I was only three away from what was it? The 1,000 people in the page.
Yeah.
I'm actually at
Milestone.
949. So I need 50 people to go like the Facebook page, because then I can start actually like monetizing some things and actually get some money from it. That's one thing that bands need to take into account too, is that you need to get to your first 1,000, because from there you can do like what we were talking about during the break. Like there's apps like Opus Clip where you can like put all your music in there and then just like put little clips together, and you can put it on the web, and then it goes into the software into like Facebook, and they have this things called stars, and stars is similar to like what is it, Twitch does it, and you can give gifts to the people doing Twitch. You can give gifts. You can do
People
what they
can kind
call
of like throw, it's like a tip or something almost.
And then like super what is it, YouTube has super chats. Super chats are like just people just chatting in there, but they can donate money to while they're watching the show.
That's cool.
Or whatever they're watching. So like, so I think that a lot of bands could benefit from that idea that once they get to a certain number, they can start saying, hey, if you like our work, leave a star, which is people pay for those, and then collectively you get a percentage off of it.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's cool.
And so I mean, and there's a lot of that out there. Like they're monetizing everything, and they're basically like, if you're on social media, you are the product. So like that's what you have to,
content-based economy.
Yep. And that's where we all live now, is this the whole content-based economy, and they're making all the money. I mean, they're making billions off of us, while like, we're just all making the content for free a lot of the time, and
having a day job. And
so I mean, that's what I would say. I would say that you just got to focus on that, and then just making sure that like your publishing's right, your master recording stuff is correct. So then you'll get paid. You're leaving a lot of money on the table if you're not doing that, just because you're just playing music for free. Because nobody's actually getting paid, or Spotify's not going to pay you if they don't do their stuff right. And so I mean, it's licensing, and then just like even an LLC, like setting up a business for a band. That's one of the very first lessons that you learn.
I've been curious about that.
Yeah, and it's because you can write off everything. Your art form is
all the strings and patch cables we go through.
And all you have to do is the easiest way is to like get a cheap credit card of like $800. Make sure you pay it off every month, but if you need to buy some equipment, use that for your band shit, and then just swipe it, and then keep a record of all of that. So then when you go to an accountant, they can take that in and say, okay, this is a business. That's where you transition from being like just a band that gets together and plays music to being a band that actually does it to make a living. And so there's people out here doing that what is it? Nikki Jackson does it. She runs her own business. It's an Oklahoma Disposition. It's an artist development firm. And then there's what is it? The one dude that's like really inspirational. Hosty's cool. Oh my god.
Think of people that are like local legends that have been at it for a long time.
Man, Hosty. Okay. Bring this up. Hosty was my cultural music teacher.
Okay.
And I learned more about music history than I've ever learned from anybody in my life in that class. Like, that dude knows music, and he knows the history of music, and he knows the reasons behind why people do things. He knows the background. He knows, like, the names of, like, all these random people. You know, and he also
All the
defends
behind-the-scenes
the Fender
stuff.
Bullet. That's apparently the best guitar ever. That's what he says. That the Fender Bullet is the best guitar ever made.
That's
But yeah, Hosty, amazing. Like, if you're bored on a Sunday, just go down to what is it, the deli?
I know. Yeah, I know he used to do the deli.
Yeah, he still. Oh, yeah, I guess he still does because he was doing it during class, but last semester. But yeah,
He's always fun to watch.
He plays like, what is it, like 3 or 4 different instruments at once.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a master of multitasking.
yeah. And so I mean,
You'll have to come down to Norman and check
I
him
need to
out.
meet
sometime.
yeah,
guy.
he's really good.
He's
like
cool.
and he's a cool dude. Like he's really, like, he's a really nice guy. And so I mean, yeah. Rocky Kanega is another one that I was thinking of. Rocky had like a career early on, years and years ago, and he was an alcoholic, and he told the story on our show where like he would like get drunk at shows, and he'd be a total asshole. He'd get kicked off stage, he'd stumble off stage.
Yeah, fall
like he
off
was
stage.
that drunk like all the time. And then he had an accident, and he woke up in the hospital, and he was all messed up. And there's pictures of him online of this, and then he got sober. He didn't do a program. He didn't do any of that. He just looked at himself and said, "I'm going to change this." And so he went. So he got like sober, and now he did everything he was supposed to do. He set up all of his paperwork, his business, everything he does. He plays more shows locally at like different places all around town, restaurants, like all sorts of places, coffee shops, just anywhere. But he plays like every day.
That's crazy.
And he makes a full-time living off of music, and he's done more with his music sober than he ever did when he was an alcoholic.
That's crazy.
And
Good for
so
him.
that's
Yeah,
why I say,
that's
like,
admirable.
it's you got to do what works for you, but like, like I know some artists that is what works for them. That's what brings out their music. But it's like,
Yeah.
but at the same time,
You're
like,
not getting as much done as you could if you weren't
At what
hungover
cost?
every day.
yeah. And when you just got to look on the inside and see what's important to you. Is your music more important to you, or is like just the partying side of it? Because I saw a lot of bands come and go over the last 3 years, and it was because of being just drug addicts or drinking or partying or whatever it is. And one of the things like that I keep on telling people is like, yeah, you can do that stuff, that's fine, but if you do that on a level that everybody notices, then it's gonna get you a rap, and then you're not
Yeah.
gonna play nowhere.
You don't
and
want to
no
be
one's
the
gonna
train
work
wreck.
with you.
Yeah.
And no record label's gonna work with you either. They're gonna be like, man, these people are just drugged out or drunk all the damn
Yeah.
time. Like, they're
they
horrible
can't
to
send
work
you
with.
on the road because they don't know what you're gonna do.
Yep. And then they'll just drop you, and they'll just be like, yeah, don't work with those people. They're shitty. And so yeah. We got some movement outside, so maybe we should wrap this
We're
up.
all
'cause they'll-
side-eyeing
they'll
it.
try to come inside now.
Let us in.
But yeah, so I guess we'll wrap this up. And yeah, so any socials or anything like that anyone should know about?
Yeah. So, speaking of Facebook likes, we don't have too big of a following on Facebook, so people could like and share the posts on that. Instagram is Sadona Crystal Bitch.
Okay.
I feel like I'm more active on there, but
Do you do YouTube
kinda-
or any of that?
we
now?
have some. Like
Just
we
live
have,
shows.
Yeah,
Just live shows?
we have
Okay.
some
Stuff
clips
like
where I
that.
try to, if somebody posts a video of us playing, I try to add it to a playlist of all of the.
I think all of our
Everything.
tracks from that album are on YouTube
Awesome.
also.
Yeah,
but-
somebody like a non-monetized. It's called like Rock Freaks or something. They asked if they could upload the album
Yeah.
Okay.
in a video, and actually that got like 1,000 views on it too. So that was cool that they were
Cool,
kind of
cool.
spreading the word.
Yeah, I
But,
might have
yeah.
to. I might have to come to that show tonight because
It'll be fun.
Yeah.
I
I'm
went to
excited.
one. Like, so I went to one show at a gallery. I've had art in that gallery, and Leah's an amazing person whenever it comes to like how she helps the scene and everything. They call her grandma now, like our mother hen. Like, 'cause she's like going around like helping everybody out and, and
that's
producing
sweet.
the scene. So,
Yeah.
so yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited to finally check it out and play there.
Yeah, and it's a good sized stage too. It's not like a little. It's like you encounter. I know bands like encounter these like tiny little bitty rooms.
You're like hitting each other with the headstocks. Yeah.
Just give us a corner of the room.
Yeah, I mean, I think the first time that I saw Sedona...
It's nice to even have any sort of stage.
I think the first time I saw Sedona was in, and I don't even think they're open. I don't know if they're open anymore, but they might be. Stag Lounge, or not Stag.
The Snug.
Snug.
Yeah.
I saw.
I think that might have been our
Snug.
first show.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was like that room is so tiny.
Yeah.
And they had the PAs like right in the middle of.
Well, and I remember when I first
and
walked up that thing, they don't lock that back door or that front door.
Yeah, the first
And
time I went there,
that was
I
so
opened the
funny.
When I
door.
walked up, I opened up the door, and there was like a band in front of me, and I was like, shut this door.
I
Like,
did
I'm
that,
not
and
gonna-
they all turned around and looked at me. I was
it
like,
was
my
like
bad.
while compulation was playing.
I'll go
Like,
to the
on
back door.
My bad. I was go to the back. Yeah,
I was dying laughing.
because you assume that it's the front door, like that you would go in. But like, so I walked all the way around
Yeah.
that building.
I was like, oh,
I saw
he's
people
here.
in the back, but I was like, well, obviously I'm going through that door. Like that's where everybody smokes. And I walked all around the building to go in to pay, and it was like, and I opened up the door, and it was a band playing.
Yeah.
And I was like, yep.
Don't enter from the main street.
It's
Yep.
funny
So,
how many
but-
venues have the doors.
But I guess they
stage.
changed their whole platform. What they do, they don't really do shows. They do like,
Yeah.
or, and I don't even know if they're still in business. But
I
I
feel
know
like they
if
had like a Taylor Swift karaoke night or something not that long ago. I still follow
Christoph,
them
did
on
you go to
Facebook.
that?
For what?
The Taylor Swift night.
No.
That's not-
We're gonna have our own here at NCom.
Yeah, we're gonna have a Taylor Swift karaoke night at NCom. That would be.
We should get some karaoke going. No.
Oh, you don't like karaoke?
Well,
Man, that's pretty crazy.
we'll have our own
considering that
karaoke party
He
without
listens to
Christoph.
bands play covers.
That's true. I guess if you're gonna do karaoke, you
You'd
might
think
as well
they'd go
learn the
hand in
song
hand.
also.
All right. Well, I guess we'll end this, and then we'll So definitely be checking out Sadona Crystal Bitch. Amazing band. You should like really check out their work, and follow them on Spotify, all the platforms that they are on. The local Earshot podcast I run on 3 tenets. It's time, talent, and treasure. The first T is time. Basically, I just thank everybody for listening to the show. I know that there's millions of podcasts out there, and you choose to listen to this or even watch it, I guess, now on YouTube. And so I'm greatly appreciative of that. As for talent, if you're an artist and you want to be on the show, then you can reach out to me at john@thelocal.com or on Facebook or Instagram, and I will try to get back with you. There's a bunch of list of bands that originally I was supposed to book earlier on in the year. That's why I've only done 34 episodes since we transitioned. So I mean, so I have to kind of reconnect with a lot of these artists that I told them that I would interview them, but then I was going through a lot at the time. And then as for treasure, if you want to donate to the show, you can go over to thelocalearshot.com. There's a tab that says donate. You can donate with crypto, or you can donate you could donate like Venmo, Cash App, any type of things that turn into money. I will gladly take it. All money goes right back into the show and goes into possibly getting a studio. And it looks like that my luck was up because I have money starting to come in from the VA again. That's a little higher amount. So it looks like that I might be able to get the money together to be able to buy a location or rent a location every month. So thank you for listening to the show, and I will see you all on the next episode. Thank you.